a really great day here in the province because our three workers are here and they're helping us to finish the wall. And also, um, our cement finally arrived. Kuya there are getting more sand to uh, because our sand right there is already the what do you call that? Sucks. Hello, one viewer. Hello, Kuya Niels. My sister said hi. This is our wall now, guys. It's finally start. How are you, Kuya Niels? Thank you to the 3 likes, everyone. Yeah, we have 3 people. Hello, Kuya Darren. Hi, Queen NENEPUT. How are you, Kuya Darren? We'll go inside, guys. It's a little bit hotter now. That's my bike right there because we're using the garage. There's Niels. Kuya Darren said, I'm happy. No, I didn't. Say hi.
Hello, everybody.
I didn't put lipstick, guys.
Okay, she's
I
got
look like Lisa without lipstick.
Neil says, "How's the pregnancy? How you doing?"
I'm good, Kuya Niels. It's a little bit,
Morning sick.
yeah, morning sick. If I eat food, it's like I wanna puke. It depends to the food. If McDonald's, it's not. James na. How about Ate Jane, Kuya Niels?
Yeah, how's Jane doing,
How's
Niels?
Ate Jane?
All right.
I'm gonna get my.
All right. So our critics are always telling us to finish the house, and I noticed over on the James and Karen channel now that we're finishing the house, they're all mad. I had to boot a few people off the channel because of that. It's like, oh, you need to do the finish on your house. Why aren't you doing that? They'll bring that up every video. And I get sick of it and hide their comments. And then when we finally start finishing the construction of the house, putting the finishing touches on, they're mad about that. Just thought it's funny. So I'm going to switch Wi-Fi's. I just dropped the Starlink Mini on its head off the bike. Let's see if it's still working. Starlink Mini now. How's my signal? So I got the X-Tar battery right there. The X-Tar 5.8 battery. I just set my Mini down on a rock pile. After dropping it on the, I should cover that battery up. The battery don't like the heat. The Starlink Mini, I put it on top of my motorcycle, and motorcycle is so unbalanced, it just fell right over. I had my hands all full of the Mini and the battery and everything. But we got our sunscreen over here. I'm going to put the sunscreen on top of the battery. This is a fishing net. I guess this is for the ocean. If you're gonna throw fingerlings in the ocean and raise them, I guess you buy this stuff. But we're gonna use it. It's also used in the farming around here. It's gonna be the sunscreen over our tomato patch. Darren says it's good. Thank you, Darren. By the way, the XR is running as good as it's ever run. Our mechanic Adrian figured out to use that raised piston. He raised the compression, ironically, and I switched the oil to Shell oil 10W40 instead of the Honda 10W30. I really think the Shell 10W40 is better for the XR. I don't know whether it's got zinc in it or what, but the Shell oil is working much better. Generally, I try to follow what the manufacturer recommends, but we went through three top-end overhauls on Honda oil, and you know there's a lot to the story about why that happened. But the bike sounds better and it's running better on the Shell oil. So I'm just going to go with it, the 10W40. I think So we got a small load of concrete this morning. David just messaged me and says it's normal for gas to get in the oil. He's got that going on his ADV, his Honda. This is the finishing rig, finishing sand. House is going to look awesome. Let's go switch Wi-Fi back to the house Wi-Fi. How we doing, NENEPUT? Reverend Fred said maybe it runs a little hotter, so if it runs hotter, it needs more high viscosity. Definitely, Reverend Fred, I want to say that I've run it enough on the expensive synthetic Honda oil, and the Shell oil is, the engine sounds better, and it's definitely stronger. And then I came down from the mountain. We got to go up there when you're ready. All right, let's go. Looking good, looking good. So I'm not an expert, but I want to tell everybody, I think if I was going to buy that bike again, I think I'd definitely be running that 10W40 in there. It works a lot better, don't it, Karen? The motorcycle with the 10W40. So guys, I'm talking about putting in the drop ceiling. Oh, we lost our signal, Karen. There we go. For some reason, sorry everybody, it's the cellular data inside the house and it shouldn't do that. That's one part where the Apple phone is. Karen, I need my other phone to make sure we have signal. Yeah, Tom Severs, the exterior is getting finished. We wouldn't even be doing that if we weren't renting the place out. We don't even spend most of our time here. We have other places to stay. We don't publicize very much. YouTube knows one side of the story, but there's a lot more to it. It never dropped, Darren? Crazy. It wants to go to LTE and inside the house. So. But there are lots of good land deals and deals up in the mountains and rice fields. If you hold out, you just wait. People come to you with good deals.
Yeah, the cement is getting expensive.
How much for the cement?
280. Before it's 220.
280? Good thing we're nearly done with this build. Next build is native materials.
It's really expensive.
What's bamboo?
Native also is like 80,000 pesos.
Yeah.
It's expensive too.
Good.
I'll just go to concrete. It's for lifetime compared to.
Concrete's for.
If it's in the mountain, it's okay, but here is. I don't know. Like.
Yeah.
Because if it's concrete, you are sure that it will.
Do you know where the corn seeds are? Because we got to go replant the ones that got eaten by the bugs. Yeah, we're gonna have to go do that today, before the rest of the patch gets behind.
Today. It will be today.
Yeah.
Not today.
Yeah.
Today.
Okay. It's NENEPUT channel.
Because I'm not feeling like this.
You got morning sickness again?
No.
You're not ready for the morning show?
Yeah,
Okay.
It's really crazy feeling. I am always resting.
Yeah, Reverend Fred, we're building on the mountain with native materials, so That's going to be future in the future. We'll show that off. Just a little bit of solar, just enough to run lights and charge. You do USB charging. Yeah, inverter for the computer to charge the laptop. Oh, Karen, the peppers are dry.
Yeah.
Better water them, and the tomatoes are dry too. Never let tomatoes go dry. The plants is all dry. You want to take over for a minute? I'll pour some water on them.
Hello, Kuya Darren. Good video. Kuya Darren, if like this time, I'm not. I used to live stream afternoon because if like this time, I wanna rest. The pula that you are building in the mountain, is that the place that you showed a while back where it was right, where a big farming area was? And it was like a little place that you thought. Yes, Kuya Repred. That's my parents' house, Kuya Repred. We built also a room there, and that's our first place before we built this house. That sounds lovely. Plus, you're in the mountains, so it's probably not too hot up there. Yes, Kuya Red because there's a lot of trees there. Here also, but in porch. In this area where I sit is the best place because the wind is always blowing. Hello, Zach. Thank you, Zach. How's baby? Hi, Zach. Your laptop should charge off USB-C. USB-C if it's available. If so, you will be able to run it off of DC. Kuya Neil said. How is Skylar League doing? Zach, Skylar still cannot walk. They put something inside and then they use bandage so that he cannot move it. Yeah, I remember when you were up there a long time ago, the views were beautiful. Well, every time you go up there, the views are beautiful. Yes, Queer Red, the mountains there are so awesome because we are in the middle of the high mountains of Cortez. Yeah, that's my place, Queer Red. That is the place where my parents raised me. She is fine and eating now. Wow, that's great. That's really cute. I always watching your Facebook video. Hey Zach, Kuya Darren said, hello, I'm from Assam in India. Wow. Hello to you, Odip Narai. Ouch. How are you today, my birthday? Oh my goodness. Why you're crying if you have birthday? Agoy. Agoy. Agoy means ouch. Hello, Filipino woman lover. Oh, Tyler, you're here again, Tyler. Yeah, I saw your live stream last time. I didn't notice that you were live. Uh, you're looking beautiful. Thank you so much. Udip. Sanandana vlog. Good morning. Yes, thank you everyone. Good morning. It's 10:58 here. Our lunch is chicken adobo and we already finished cooking our food. So I think we're good now. James, don't put too much water, James. That will die. Last time your tomato died because of too much water.
It was all Jenilyn's fault.
Call later if you have time. I don't know what time your live stream. Tyler, you're from Canada, right? Yeah, Tyler, the viewers here, he have also a YouTube channel. Yeah. What are you doing? Udip said, my husband is putting water and I'm here resting. Udip. I don't want to. I don't want to work, especially if it's very hot. Yes, I'm from Canada. This bro, your husband. Yes, Udip, that's James. And you can find um, our daily vlog in James and Karen Adventures channel. Hello, 18 viewers. Yes, I am from Canada. My lunch salad and 2 hard-boiled egg. Wow, that's really healthy, Kuya. Belus. Ours is chicken adobo and rice. Got to do laundry. Stay cool, legend. Thank you, Kuya Belus. Take care always. Yes, Sananda na vlogs. I'm from India. He said. I will be going live between 10:30 to 11 p.m. my time. Oh, I don't know how many hours our time difference. Filipina woman lover. Tyler. Oh, Belos, you better teach James how to do washing, Belos. James know already, Kuya Darren, how to wash the laundry. I just don't let him buy soap again because he used to buy Downy. Nice boys. Thank you, Sananjana Vlog. Canada. Yes, Udip. Guys, you can subscribe also. Tyler from Canada. I think Tyler is wanna meet a lot of Filipina, he said. Canada. With the wrong washing powder. Yes, Kuya Darwin. Oh my goodness, I was laughing. That's why I told James, don't tampo to me because you don't know what you are buying. Haha, your husband is hilarious. Filipina woman lover. Why? Why, Tyler? Oh, Dip, what time is it where you are? Kuya Neil said. You can hear the roof, guys. It's too hot. The sound, there's a sound always. What's that, James? James is a plantito now. You know what is plantito, James? Guy that love planting because he does things what he shouldn't be. Oh, you mean the fabric conditioner when he have tampo Tyler? I am also from Canada. I am in Ottawa. Yes, Tyler, Kuya Rev Fred is a Canadian also. We have a lot of Canadian friends. Like Michael, like Kuya Ralph, a lot of Canadian. You should make James use his own new washing powder. Yeah, because James guys is he cannot think already if he have tampo to me. Sometimes he is in bad mood, especially if he have no caffeine. Yeah, you transfer already, James?
Yeah, I want to see what happens. We move it out of that soil. And that's from the soil from under the corn. We're going to be planting them. So let's see if they thrive in that soil. I know the eggplants will. The eggplants are going to love it there. We got to plant
Yeah.
some more, by the way.
Look at my flowers, guys.
Yeah, they're looking good.
Yeah, they're looking good. They love sun. They love sun. Too much sun. Our workers break is
They
12.
love the concrete from Huff.
What
So
they said
mine is probably
what
a good
they
idea.
said, James, of the comments last night in our long form video about the salary.
Yeah, they said that 600 pesos is it makes us slave masters or
Oh
something.
my
Terrible.
goodness. When you
Yeah,
are working in
that's more than everybody
highway,
else is paying.
when you are working in highway, guys, like the construction, if you construct a highway, they only pay you 300 pesos, or if you are even in office, my sister before salary in town is 150 pesos. I think here that's the rate here, guys. So maybe if you are from US, the 600 is cheap, but here in the Philippines, it's already big, guys. That's a big money already. Um, Amen to you, Tavern Smith. Yeah. James wouldn't tampo, LOL. Yes, Kuya Darian, I said to him that I removed his right already to have tampo. Because he is not Filipina, I said. Ray and Roy are only paying 500 for the trade and for the yeah, Kuya Darian, here ours is 600 for the skilled worker and also 500 for the laborer. Yeah, that's nice there in Bacolod, Kuya Darian, because here in Panay it's expensive. Even Kuya Ralph's workers there in Iloilo last time, we have the same rate. Rhea and Roy, James Rhea only pay 500 for the skill.
Yeah, but you'll see those bozos on our channel complaining about us. The
Yeah.
dogs are getting.
Yeah, they are sleeping there, James. 600 and 500 every region. Yes, Kuya Nails. It's good already. Because some work, if you even in government, you cannot earn that if you are new. True Nails, Kuya Darren said. But I'm happy, guys, that even our house is not finished yet. But the important is it's durable. Yeah, because uh, if we build a house that made of native materials after 10 years or even 8 years, it will rotten. Unlike in concrete that even your kids or your grandkids can still live. Hey, Rev Fred Marks, it's really nice to meet you here from Canada. I subscribe to your channel. Said hi. Thank you thank you, Tyler, for subscribing to your Rev Fred March. Are tomatoes hard to grow in the Philippines, PDX?
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's a lot of bugs that eating
Fungus,
the
high
fungus.
humidity, and high heat.
You need to spray them.
Tomatoes don't like to pollinate above 80 degrees.
Yeah.
You need the temperature to fall pretty low to pollinate reliably. And then the insects, the bugs are eating them up.
That's the only problem.
It's all overcomable, but it's not as easy in the U.S. Most places in the Midwest, you can put your tomatoes outside, and even if you just pull the weeds out, you're going to get a crop of tomatoes, even if you don't spray or nothing. But here, they'll be gone in a few minutes.
Ruby, I'll get the water, babe. What, do you want water?
Yeah, absolutely. But what I'm finding in the Philippines is that the thing is to be very patient, and the asking prices on the land is very high. And if you're in a hurry, you're going to pay a lot of money. But if you come over here and you rent, like the Colonel's rent for $25 a month, and you just wait, something's going to come to you. So that's what I recommend doing. Reverend Fred said, "Thank you, Tyler. I appreciate that." Yeah, Reverend Fred and I are very excited. We're working on a forum and a live streaming type platform website, our website, to promote our content and to engage with our viewers and to post news. And the forum's going to have sub forums. We're going to have a Panay Posse forum for the people from Panay Island to comment, and we're going to link our YouTube stream to our streams from the other platforms. We won't mention until it's up and running. And I think I just think it's going to be awesome. And we're going to have advertising space on there. We're going to have advertising. I'm getting contacted by all kinds of companies, and some of them I've already taken them up on. Karen and I have taken their deals. And what we're going to do is we're going to use that website to do our advertising for the products that we're actually using, and for the companies that have approached us with useful products. We're going to put the banner advertising on there. We're going to post the reviews in prominent areas so that The site and the content is self-sustaining and self-promoting. It's, it's going to be awesome. Zach says, I have one tomato. Zach, you're spoiled, man. The area you're in is great for growing tomatoes there in northeast Missouri. PDX, tomatoes over here don't like the hot summer heat. Yeah, there's a couple of varieties. I think Floralina is one of them. But there's a couple of good hybrid varieties that I don't have yet here. But I don't really need them because the temperature does go below 80 Fahrenheit here at night. But there are some varieties that pollinate even with the hot temperature. They've been bred to pollinate above 80 degrees. But 95% of tomato varieties will not pollinate if the nighttime temperature is above 90. 80, excuse me, Fahrenheit. Darren says, I'm a qualified home builder here in Australia, and I was earning 150 Australian dollars per hour. Awesome, Darren. Reverend Fred said, yeah, I'm looking forward to putting it all together. I think it's going to be awesome. It is. It's going to be so awesome, Reverend Fred, because rather than, I feel like so much falls through the cracks, so many business opportunities to sell things like the X-Tar battery, which I really believe in. It's a great product. And the Peak Dew battery. If you want an integral battery for your Starlink Mini, that Peak Dew battery, the new one, the second version, runs for 5 hours, and it never shuts down. I haven't had an overheating problem with it. It's durable. I can leave it out in the sun all day attached to the Mini, and it has not seemingly lost any capacity whatsoever. It's because they built the heat sink into it, the second version. That's the Peak Dew battery for the Starlink Mini. And it runs 5 hours. The X-Tar battery, it's kind of a power bank style, like you'd see with Anchor, only better because it runs on the Starlink Mini barrel jack. You can plug it in directly to your Starlink Mini accessory cable that came with your Starlink Mini. PDX Leroy says, hey, Zach, one's better than none. Reverend Fred said, even for tomatoes, they can't really find. We've got the beefsteak tomatoes now. I've got the seeds. They're growing. Thanks to two people, Vegas Will and our new neighbor, Kevin and Nova. They brought us great tomato seeds. So we have a good supply now. Baha'i Bukid says, so far in Toledo, my 2 rows of tomatoes are growing well. No fruiting yet, but they have survived the heat wave. Yeah, they'll grow well in the heat wave. Now I think I just showed you guys the net, the fish net sunscreen. So we're putting that up so that when we transplant the tomatoes and the peppers and the eggplants, that the sun doesn't burn them up. And we're also putting interspersed with the tomatoes, there's going to be trellises with beans and cucumbers, maybe some mini watermelons and cantaloupes. So it's going to be that whole area where we had the first plot of sweet corn is going to be now it's going to be in mixed vegetables with a sunscreen. Zach says it's been cool and wet here. Well, Zach, you got by August you should be sitting pretty in tomatoes. You plant them now. And by August, you should be overloaded with them. I never planted less than 40 plants of the beefsteak type. Big beef was my favorite, but I never planted less than 40 a year in Missouri, and oftentimes a lot more than that. But our soil is really good up there, and we got a lot of cows, so we have unlimited cow manure, and we got a loader, so I can just go out to the feedlot, go to the area where the manure's been piled up, and just grab buckets and buckets with the loader and just dump it on my garden patch before I plant in the spring. So I'm kind of been spoiled. Darren says, where I live here in my area, you only need 1 tomato plant. You can't eat enough as they produce that much. That's right. A good beefsteak tomato, if it's not diseased and it likes the weather and the soil, it's gonna produce more than one person can eat. Filipina woman liver says, your Filipino wife is beautiful. Absolutely. This is the most. I think I just saw some kind of a poll, and it said that Philippines was the second most beautiful women in the world. I think it's the first. I forgot which country they said was first, but I didn't agree at all. Philippines has the most beautiful women in the world for sure. I say Philippines is number 1. I'm not even kidding. You get on the ground over here. You go to Iloilo, come over here to Banga or Rojas City. You're gonna see things you never thought you've never seen in your life as far as the percentage of beautiful women in the Philippines. It's literally the nation of beautiful women. The genes are good here in the Philippines. Darren says, I think Filipino are the most beautiful women in the world. I think so too. I think so too. I haven't been to every country in the world, but I've met people from every country in the world. And yeah, Philippines is hands down got everybody else beat. Uh, it's the genes, it's the food. Yeah. Reverend Fred said, "Well, I'm in agreement with you guys. I think they're gorgeous. That's why I married one." Exactly, Reverend Fred. Neil says you're correct. Filipino women are the most beautiful. Absolutely. They've and beauty follows function, right? I mean, it just beauty is a primitive way of measuring genetic health, and they've just got good genes here in this part of the world. Filipino woman lover says I looked them up in the Google images and they're good looking. Yeah, I mean, just look at the beauty pageants they have all the time. I don't watch them, but I see the news results all the time. Usually, there's a Filipina near the top in every Miss Universe type pageant. But there's always politics involved too. If you take the politics out of it, they'd win every year. Aaron Fred said, "What I like with my wife thinks that I'm crazy, but without any makeup, when she wakes up first thing in the morning, she's absolutely stunning." Yeah, absolutely the truth, Reverend Fred. Karen, not a big person into makeup. Only when we did our two weddings and our, if we're doing like a cleanup photo shoot or graduation pictures, then she hired someone to do the makeup, and I didn't like it at all. Karen is beautiful without any makeup, and that's true for just about everyone here in this country. But we're finishing the house, and I was going to get you guys the hilarious quotes from some of these people here. They're really reaching. We've got a fan club and we've got a hate club, okay? And we've got just people that watch and leave constructive comments, suggestions, and but the hate club's been very active lately, and I think we've got to the point where we've called most of them out, but there's still a few left, and the comments they're leaving are hilarious. One day they'll leave a comment that says, "When are you going to finish your house?" I mean, they'll leave it like every day, and I'll just go back and I'll hide each individual comment every time, and then they'll come back at us and they'll say that. Let me get the quote. It's hilarious. The quote about the labor cost. I got one guy that says no drop ceilings, and I appreciate that comment because I really don't want the drop ceiling. But we're going to go room by room, and we'll see. Maybe we'll leave it, maybe we won't. I got several people that won't eat the food from the roadside stand because they say it's not refrigerated. I work for a big meat packer, and believe me, I'd rather buy the food from the roadside stand. I'll just say that much. Okay, so this guy from Boston tells me 600 pesos is less than 10 US dollars. To say that's a fair price for a skilled worker is criminal. A housekeeper in Boston makes $36 an hour cleaning rooms. Okay, you couldn't pay me to live in Boston, Massachusetts. You couldn't pay me for $1 million a year. I would not, if you were to give me $1 million a year, I would not leave here and go to Boston, Massachusetts. Literally. You give me $1 million a year for free. I would not go to Boston, Massachusetts and live there. So this guy is saying, housekeeper in Boston makes $36 an hour cleaning rooms. That's 2,206 pesos an hour. Paying someone to fix your home for $10 a day should be criminal when you're getting YouTube money and donations. WTF. WTF, dude, I wouldn't live in Boston for $1 million a year. That's inhumane. Boston's like an open air prison. Why the heck would I want to live in an open air prison? Yeah, I mean, you got your priorities mixed up. You've been told, I realize, in the socialistic, atheistic, revisionist history public schools there, that you're the freest in the world, and they keep telling you that, and they tell you all kinds of nonsense about we're free because of we love the environment or whatever they're teaching you nowadays, and then you're not. You're living in an open air prison, and for $1 million a year, my friend, I wouldn't live in your open air prison. I'd rather work for 500 pesos a day even less here in the Philippines province, than live in the open air prison called Boston, Massachusetts. So there you go, Roxbury's finest. Yeah, enjoy your open air prison there. Um, and my friend Kevin, my friend and neighbor, responded, "It's called modern slavery. Save your money and come to the Philippines." And yeah, dude, Roxbury, I know you're just jealous. I know you're jealous. Your wife probably is so brainwashed she thinks that that place is a utopia, and that you're the freest in the world, and that you're very sophisticated because you live in Boston. Yeah. Well, you're not. The guys finishing our wall are more sophisticated than you. Have a better life. Probably have a better family. Are probably, I'm sure they're happier. Have a better community life. They don't have to worry about getting mugged when they put gas in their car. They don't have uh, youth gangs running loose playing the knockout game, or they don't have uh, food deserts where you can't buy food. Um, they don't have all that here. All those wonderful things you free people in Boston, Massachusetts have. Boston hasn't been a free place since the founding fathers threw the tea in Boston Harbor. This guy, modern day slavery is to be an American, my friend. Modern Americans are pod people. They've been replaced. Americans have been replaced with people that are 180-degree opposite of our founding fathers. The Americans bleat for slavery now. They don't want freedom. What do you know, Roxbury's finest, about freedom? Because you don't know what freedom is. From cradle to grave, you don't know what freedom is. You're not even allowed to think free thoughts. That's why you get so mad when you see a guy like me. That's why you get so mad when you see a gal like Karen. She doesn't want your version of freedom, man. The one that's been implanted in your brain by your public schools. Right?
600 pesos a little less than that.
Look at this arrogant son of a gun. Yeah, you couldn't pay me $1 million a year to go to Boston and spend that money there in Boston. If I had to stay in Boston for deal off, man, I'd rather live on the mountain in the Philippines.
You cannot compare US to Philippines.
I'd rather be a poor Filipino than a rich Bostonian. Oh, he must be having an aneurysm right now.
Philippines is different to America.
That's because they teach him in a public school. Well, freedom. It's the idiocracy. You're the idiocracy.
Hello, we get a lot of lizards in the house. Yeah, we have also they're eating the termites last night.
Darren says, "Don't let the haters get to you, James." I'm getting to them now, Darren. I know I am. I see it in the comments. See, I know what they think. They think we can't afford to fix our house. And then when they see we're fixing our house, then they get in a rage because, I don't know, we're paying more than the prevailing wage. What are they mad about? They're just mad. They're mad because they were taught in public school. They probably kissed their teachers union, NEA president, school teachers rear end. They were probably the teacher's pet. And they wrote their essay about how we were all dead by 2020 because of global warming, and here we are. And they got their A plus, but they probably still don't. They probably still can barely read, but they got an A plus, and the teacher told them that they were going to have a bright future. And they're Boston's finest now. They they think they're going places, but nobody wants to be you, Mr. Boston. But yeah, Reverend Fred said, "Yeah, the reality is people who are not qualified have programmed a lot of us to believe things that are not even true, and we insist that they are, and they are not brave enough to look." Yes, and they get mad when you challenge that reality that was constructed by the system. Some of us did not go through life kissing rear end to get where we are. Some of us are actually self-made. But those of you that were in the system and boiled with rage when you were kissing the rear end are now you're about to pop a vein because you see guys like me that are not of the system, by the system, and for the system, living outside the system and enjoying life. Right, Karen? Yeah.
Yeah, just the no comparison in life, guys. That's the key.
Yeah, we're finishing the house just because it's time now. I mean, we got other projects going on, but it's just not now. It's on the agenda. We're not doing it because of the YouTube people.
For our little NENEPUT,
Yeah.
we will put a ceiling.
We're gonna put a drop ceiling. Should we put it in the whole house or just the bedrooms?
You can know.
Just the bedroom for the guest bedroom and our bedroom?
Yeah.
And then leave the rest of the house open because I like the open atmosphere. It's very airy. Glenn says, hello, my friend. Hello, Glenn. I'm just having fun pushing back against the trolls.
Yeah, that's YouTube.
What do you want to say to the
Just draw us. I don't care.
They're certainly obsessed with us. They're watching our channel.
It will add to our, what do you call that? Comments.
There's been a lot of brainwashing. I remember back in school about the USDA and the Pure Food and Drug Act, and who was the guy? Sinclair Lewis wrote the book The Jungle, and we got to have a regulation of our meat supply in America. So now everybody thinks that they come over here to the Philippines and they see people selling meat on the side of the road, and they're like,
yeah,
and they're scared. They're scared to eat it. And the fact is, I was in big meat packing, the big meat industry, and you ain't gonna die from eating that meat on the side of the road here. That guy selling meat at the roadside stand, now that's freedom. You're six figure. You're a USDA inspector. You taxpayers and you consumers in America, you wonder why your hamburger's so expensive? Well, they're keeping you safe. It's a protection racket. It's a good old-fashioned protection racket, masquerading as food safety. And when some people see us over here living free, buying meat off from the roadside stand,
but
it makes them so mad because they were taught in public school by their public school teacher who probably could not get into any other profession, because in America, Karen, in a lot of ways, the school teachers were rejected from the other professions. They couldn't score high enough, so they took school teaching because it was easy. And then they get in the government union. Government unions ought to be illegal, as far as I'm concerned. But then they get in the government union, and usually they're miserable people. They don't usually believe in God or country, but they believe in causes like the environment. They believe in causes like their environment and diversity. And I love diversity. I married a Filipina. I'm a white man. I love myself some diversity. But all we ever got in school was environmentalism and diversity. I mean, and the environmentalism the science was usually junk, because I clearly remember the teachers we had were telling us that we were all going to die from the acid rain, the hole in the ozone layer, the air was going to escape, and then the global warming, and none of it's come true. Where is it? Where is it? Now, it could be that they were just misinterpreting the data because they wanted to scare us kids, maybe, or maybe they were that gullible themselves, which is entirely possible. But I'm not going to let the people. I know those guys. They were, when I was in school, those kids were the teacher's pet, writing essays about how we were all going to die because of the hole in the ozone layer caused by our parents' aerosol deodorant. And I remember little Johnny and little Susie. I told mommy and daddy not to use aerosol deodorant. And teacher's like, well, you're going to get a ribbon today, Sarah, and Susan, and Johnny, because you stopped mommy and daddy from using aerosol deodorant. And it's like, what the heck has that got to do with learning your education? So, yeah, I mean, you guys keep thinking you're free. You're free and think you saved the world because you stopped mom and dad from using aerosol deodorant when you were 8 years old. Right? I mean, maybe they just hit me on the head with the ruler one too many times. Now they have a problem. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, they were literally saying that the Earth was going to be done by, what was it, Earth in the Balance? I mean, my Lord. Only Ted Kaczynski could believe stuff like that, and the local NEA union members, the National Education Association. What a racket! Neil says, and don't forget, when the ice melts, it's going to raise. Oh yeah, it's going to raise the ocean, just like when your ice and your Coke melts, it overflows your glass. Oh wait, no, it doesn't. That's right, Niels. They had us scared in so many different ways. The air was going to escape the ozone layer. I'm talking about my school teachers. I remember them literally saying ththese things when I was a child, that the air was going to escape the hole in the ozone layer. We got to stop our parents from using deodorant. And then they were saying, because they had aerosol deodorant back then, you go, psst, psst, they said that the propellant was going to, cause the air to escape. They didn't understand their own science they were supposedly teaching. And then they said that the acid rain was going to melt our, we were going to die from acid rain. That sounds so bad, acid rain. But yeah, the acid rain was going to kill us all, according to my school teachers. And then the sea level is going to rise, and we're going to live in a water world. And yeah, we think in our little child brains that we're going to have to make a boat and float around on the ocean forever. That's the kind of doomsday thinking they implanted in our heads. And none of it was true, by the way. None of it was true. Obviously, we're here today, right? I'm breathing air. The sea level obviously hasn't risen at all.
No one,
And the air, yeah.
no human can predict what's going on later.
But they can scare impressionable children.
Only God
They
knows.
can infiltrate our schools, our universities, and they preach lies. And
Yeah, only God
and then when those teachers' pets, the ones that the teacher pinned the ribbon on, and gave the 4.0 grade point average. Now they're graduated. They're professionals. They bought a couple of SUVs and a car that cost maybe $80,000 a piece. They financed it. They got a job that pays good in a place like Boston. Maybe they're making $250,000 a year, and maybe they married the prom queen. Maybe they're one of the lucky ones. Maybe they married the prom queen. Well, now 10 years later, 20 years later, she's kind of frumpy. Not only that, she's been involved in all kinds of political activism. Now she hates men. And but don't worry. Little Johnny is still kissing her rear end, but he hates himself for doing it. Then he looks on YouTube and he's looking at these beautiful ladies in Southeast Asia, but he realizes he can't leave his job or they'll repossess his house, car, his wife will divorce him, he'll have to give it all to her. He realizes he'll be a broke man if he does that. And he's looking at me and he's like, "You SOB, you escaped." That's what's going on, and I know it, Mr. Roxbury. That's what's going on with you, isn't it? Right? He ain't got the nuts to just mail the keys back to whoever and walk away from all that real slavery there in Boston, my friend. No, he's going to pick on me. He's going to degrade the Kuyas that earn an honest living out here, that have that's married to the most beautiful women in the world. Don't forget, all these guys here in the Philippines that you trolls think back in the West you're better than them. I guarantee 9 out of 10 times their wife, their girlfriend, or maybe they're like Tauntaun. Tauntaun, most any single American male is going to be jealous of Tauntaun if they knew the kind of girlfriends he's got to pick from. He's got some girl that could be Miss Universe, And yeah, you don't need to make but 500 pesos a day. Heck, Tauntaun don't even bother working most of the time because you don't got to, right? They can't repossess his house. They can't charge him for child support. They can't charge him for alimony. It's a buyer's market. So there you go. Reverend Fred says, "You think you're a troll, you're paying my bills by complaining about my lifestyle." Exactly. Exactly, Reverend Fred. And I'm not going to hide from those guys. I'm torquing them off. Keep it up, guys. Keep it up. I know y'all are sad because you got an A plus, you got a 4.0 grade average, and you got all your ribbons your teacher gave you back in 4th grade when you wrote your essay about how the Earth was going to flood out and the air was going to escape the ozone layer, and because that's what the teacher wanted to hear, and you did it. And then you married the prom queen, and you did what she wanted you to do. Now you're not very happy, right? That's the way they think. It's a trap. Life in the West is a trap. It does take balls to escape the modern day slavery, but it's not here in the Philippines, my friends. It's in the West. It's like Chris Rock said. I used to love Chris Rock as a comedian. His politics are a little off, but he's a funny comedian. And he said that if it wasn't for women, men would be living in caves because we're happy to live in caves. We only go out and build all these homes and everything to make the women happy. And it's the same thing in the West with the consumerism. We only take out the huge mortgages, buy the big bulldozer pickup trucks, and put on these displays like little peacocks to make the women folk happy. When the women folk have been taught in university, what was it? Gloria Steinem, or who was it? That a woman needs a man like a fish needs a bicycle. Well, you just took away all your Western men's incentives to do anything useful. we're going to go back to living in the caves. Either that or we're going to leave the country. We're going to leave the country, guys. That's what PDX Leroy says there is a correlation between USA schools and prisons. They are structured the same in many ways. Absolutely. Do as you're told and don't break the rules. Absolutely. And not only that, most of what and you know, you could say they got their teaching licenses and their qualifications, but they are not. 90% of them are not the best and the brightest, face it. But what they're teaching, they just don't have their facts straight. It's all politics. It's not. It's Darren says fill in with fly screen wire between the wall and the roof to keep the small animals and insects. Between the wall and the roof. Yes. Yeah, Darren. We'll get to doing that. But we're not getting a lot of insects. Once in a while, there's a termite hatch, and it's not even a big deal. Tom Seaver says, "Oh, Darren, great idea. I know I'm silly, but I also like screens on the windows and screen doors." Yeah. Dick from Derry says, "You ain't lying." Reverend Fred said they want to be treated equally, but at the same time, they want men to pay for the meal and open the door, but they want to be equal. Yeah, they want to be equal, but they don't bring an equal amount to the table. And face it, there's been a lot of social promotion, and there's been a lot of promotion in the West based on things like race and gender. And I believe in a meritocracy, a pure meritocracy. I think people's grades, grade point averages, I think people who graduate, I don't believe in social promotion in the schools. I don't think you should graduate from one level to another until you're ready, until you're academically prepared. But now we have social promotion in the schools, and you just get promoted based on your age. Everybody gets a participation award. There is no real competition. The winners and losers are picked by basically, the staff who are basically political officers choosing the winners and losers based on who kisses enough rear end. That's why the West is in decline. That's why we have a $30 trillion debt. If society was a meritocracy, we would not have a $30 trillion debt. If our society in America was still a meritocracy, we wouldn't have a $30 trillion debt. We wouldn't have a housing crisis. Personal debt wouldn't be off the charts at an all-time high. We would be the uncontested global superpower. There wouldn't be regional powers trying to challenge us. They'd be too scared to, and the world would be at peace. We'd have a Pax Americana. There wouldn't be a need to fire one round of ammunition. Everybody would be at peace, not wanting to challenge us. But instead, we've been weakened. And a weakness of America has spilled over and made the entire world a brutal, unpleasant place. Not the entire world. There's places like the Philippines. There's other places in the world where there's refuge. But you know what I mean. The conflicts that are happening in the world now are happening because we've grown weak, not because we're strong. PDX Leroy says, yes, Tom, screens and why they're everywhere. Philippines doesn't seem to use screens. Here in Oregon, we have screens on all doors and windows. Well, the point is, during the daytime, you don't need any screens here. So if you throw your windows open, nothing's coming in. I mean, it's maybe nothing to speak of. At nighttime is when the mosquitoes come out. And at nighttime, we go to sleep under a net. So when we put all the screens on the windows, and the thing is, we're used to sleeping under a net anyway, because we don't always sleep in the same place. And wherever we do sleep, we have a net. You know. Reverend Fred said that's why it's best for the whole world to be capitalist, where the cream rises to the top, and if you can't compete, you can't eat. Well, you can eat. You can eat, Reverend Fred. But what you're saying is pretty much correct. But what you need to do is yield to your betters. Sometimes you need to yield to your betters. And if you've got people doing antisocial things, they shouldn't be getting a check from the government that supports that antisocial behavior. So, I mean, if you've got people having children out of wedlock, and they keep repeatedly doing that, and used to be they'd have to go to the church, they'd have to go to the local charity and ask for money. And the people, when they went there and did it, they'd say, you got to change your behavior. Your behavior's not right. Now they can just go into the government, go apply at the government. The government makes no moral claim to tell them to change their behavior. So we have a perverse incentive. We're incentivizing bad behavior in the West. There's no gatekeeper to the money. The government reaches in us working people's pockets, takes the money away, and gives it to the people who are, doing things that the rest of us would be aghast at. They're, using drugs, drinking a lot of alcohol in excess, having children out of wedlock. You got nobody, you got no elders there to say, they'd have to go ask their elders for money back in the old days. Ask the elders, ask the church elders, ask the neighbors, and they'd probably give them food, but they'd tell them, you need to change your ways. You need to shape up. Nowadays, no, the people don't get that kind of advice. They just fill out the government application form and get the money, and the rest of us got to pay. Norm, hi Norm. And a lot of that comes back to the way we've done, public education in the United States. A lot of that comes back to when they first created public education, mandatory public education around, I don't know, maybe the turn of the century, 1900. I mean, um, don't forget, we were still pretty much America was still pretty much a Bible believing country. So there was a moral code. And just because we had public schools didn't mean we had to eliminate the moral code. But later on, you had people maybe went to 8th grade, maybe they had a one-room schoolhouse out in the country. The population was mostly rural. We transitioned from that to universal public education. And when we did that around the same time, probably not coincidentally, there were several Supreme Court cases that pretty much said that the school teacher couldn't lead a prayer in school, that the curriculum had to be really, neutral. We can't teach morality in school anymore. So, and then we had a social revolution where the women went into the workforce. So now the mom's not teaching riding herd on her kids, making sure they're behaving themselves and learning basic morality. The school system is not allowed to teach basic morality anymore because religion is the basis of morality. And if the school's not allowed to teach a religious curriculum, the mom's not home to teach the kids. The school's not allowed to teach the kids. Now we've got a new kind of morality that's being taught from this progressivism, and it's a humanistic kind of now instead of God, Moses, the Ten Commandments, Jesus, the Golden Rule. Now we've got the environment, and we've got diversity, and we've got universal equality, and those things are in and of themselves good, but they've made them into a religion. And as a religion, it's no longer based on science. The environmentalism we're getting in the schools, and what we were talking about earlier, the sea levels have not risen to really displace anyone the way they said was going to happen. The air didn't escape out the ozone layer the way my grade school teachers actually scared us. None of that stuff happened. But there's no accountability for that. They're retired or dead now. The accountability is here. We're talking about it. Let's not fall for this stuff anymore. This is my Chicago. Says hi. Hello, Chicago. Chicago is my kind of town. Norm, hi, Norm. I said hi to Norm. Richard says, when I was a kid in school, we used to play the Pledge of Allegiance every morning. That's right. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Yep, we did too. They're not allowed to do that no more. Little by little, incrementally, they've taken God, they've taken our nationalism, our patriotism, they've taken mom, they've taken dad. We're left with nothing but the agenda they implant in our brains, in the media, and in the school, all by design. We're just atomic robots now, and they just upload a new operating system in every generation. They've broken the chain from generation to generation. The inherited wisdom that's passed down from one generation to another, all gone, all by design. Reverend Fred said, great brother, nice talk. I need to go to sleep. Bless you. Have a good day. Enjoy the rest of your life. Good conversation. Yeah, I'm trying to tone it down. I'm trying to explain where I'm coming from. And none of it's meant to be malicious towards anybody. This is meant to be constructive. In order to fix as much of this world as I can in my lifetime, which is not going to be very much, obviously. I'm just one man. I think we need to, first of all, tell the truth. And looking back, I can see a lot of things that were absolutely wrong. A lot of the environmentalism we were taught was wrong. The amount of time we spent in school studying, diversity and environmentalism was out of this world wrong. Because we were not as kids, we were not racist anyway. Why were they teaching us about constantly that just because our skin was pale? My ancestors were never involved in anything bad like that. Maybe you'd have to go all the way back to ancient Rome to find anybody like that. And I don't know who they were that did anything bad in that regard. So why are you villainizing me because of my skin color? And that's what a lot of the education in school came down to was we're going to villainize you because of your skin color. We're going to villainize you because of your socioeconomic status. We're going to embarrass you because you're Christian, and you were taught creationism, and none of that is popular anymore. Yeah, uh, Zach says they need to bring back the Pledge of Allegiance and the anthem. That's it's just so sad that they would ever get rid of the Pledge of Allegiance and the anthem. But you can see ultimately that was their goal in school. Again, you go back to school, they were brainwashing us kids. It was obvious. School wasn't about education in America. It was about brainwashing. They never taught the better part of America. They never taught the great things that our leaders did, and our presidents, and our history. Instead, they taught us Woodrow Wilson was a big hero. The League of Nations, uh, the United Nations. If you went to our book fair at school, the books were about lionizing Woodrow Wilson, the League of Nations, and the United Nations. And I can just see all those covers photos in my head of the United Nations and all the flags. And there were never any books with the American flag on the cover, none. In the school library, yeah, you could see all the United Nations, all the nations, but never the American flag. And it's like they wanted to the people that ran the school, that wrote the books, wanted to get rid of America. Why? And I felt that. And of course, I was not a kid to, I wasn't going to kiss teacher's rear end because I didn't believe in that. I wanted to wave the flag of my country. I was a Christian and not ashamed of it, not feeling the shame they wanted to seemingly make us feel for being Christian. Um, I didn't even care about race. Race wasn't even a thing when I was a kid. None of us did. They literally in my small town, we never gave consideration to race. It wasn't a thing, but until we got to school and they started pushing racial division. It was the school in the name of anti-racism pushing racism. So I find that to be interesting also. PDX says, as if that does Karen know that in the 60s the government made us hide under our desks in case of a nuclear attack, fear mongering, as if that would have done any good. Yes, and they also did the nuclear winter. I think it was Carl Sagan and a few people worked up the theory of the nuclear winter. That if there was a nuclear exchange between the Soviet Union and the United States, that we couldn't win anyway, because the Earth would be destroyed by the nuclear winter, and we would go the way of the dinosaurs because of the particulate matter would block the sun. Well, it turned out that was mostly overblown. There were studies done by the government, real classified studies that were released later that said no, there might be some minor global cooling, but there would not be a nuclear winter, and the human race would survive a full exchange. The thing is, the media was overwhelmingly on the Soviet Union side, and they didn't want us to do that because we'd win. And same thing with the Korean War. They didn't want us to win the Korean War. They wanted us to lose. That's why they relieved MacArthur of command. The people in charge at the very top, I'm not talking about our fighting men in the field, but the people at the very top didn't want us to win, or we would have. No matter how many of them guys came across the Yalu River, and that would have shut them down forever. MacArthur was right. There is no substitute for victory. But they make, in the modern history books and in places like schools, like West Point, they're teaching in the curriculum I hear, the lecturers, that MacArthur was wrong, that MacArthur was a bad guy, MacArthur was stupid, we couldn't have won anyway. And in my estimation, that was all a lie. Retreat from Victory by Joseph McCarthy. Look it up. It's on YouTube in book voice format. You can listen to Retreat from Victory by Joe McCarthy. He's got all the receipts in there in Retreat from Victory about how the American GI went around the world, defeated the Japanese Empire, defeated the fascist Germany in Europe, and then basically we won the world, and then we retreated from it. We let Mao have China. We let Stalin have Eastern Europe. We let them raise the Iron Curtain across East Berlin and the Slavic countries and the Baltic countries and the Balkans. Almost lost Greece. They tried to lose Greece. They tried to give Greece to the Stalin's empire, but luckily Greece was saved. But yeah, I mean, Joe McCarthy, guys, I highly recommend Retreat from Victory. And by the way, in grade school, I clearly remember McCarthyism. Joe McCarthy was a prosecutor at Nuremberg. He helped prosecute the fascists. Joe McCarthy was a representative and a senator, and famously he went up against Edward R. Murrah who was a journalist at the time. Edward R. Murrah was the villain, not Joe. Joe was telling the truth. The Venona files, the Venona, the wires between the Soviet spies and their embassy in the United States in Washington and Moscow, where the encryption was broken by the U.S. government. And the files were released in the late 90s, early 2000s. There was a book called the Venona Files. They released it. Everybody, Joe said, basically almost everybody, not everybody, because there was some misinformation planted. But the gist of what Joe McCarthy was saying was true. Yalta. At Yalta, they gave away Eastern Europe. Um, um, General Marshall gave away China. Who lost China? Tom Seaver's Vietnam was the same. The politicians controlled the military and didn't allow them to win. How many times did they take the same area and then retreat? Yes, it was, and Zach Stick says McCarthy was right. Absolutely, McCarthy was right. He was not a villain. I believe Joe McCarthy, along with Admiral Forrestal, it's my belief, based on a circumstantial case, that Joe and Admiral Forrestal were both murdered by people with sympathies to the Soviet Union and Mao. Tom says Vietnam was the same. Yep. And Vietnam never should have happened. Vietnam happened because of our weakness in Korea. If that's why General MacArthur was trying to tell us there is no substitute for victory. And Eisenhower warned Kennedy not to get involved in a land war in Southeast Asia. He told him not to do it, but they did it anyway. And then Lyndon Johnson didn't have the guts to withdraw, so he knew he couldn't win. McNamara knew, given the resources they were willing to commit, they couldn't win. I mean, I think we inflicted 2 million casualties on the NVA, but America sustained 50,000, and with that kind of war of attrition going on, they wouldn't have been able to hold out for long. But the problem is, yeah, they undermined America. People like Edward R. Murrah and Walter Cronkite, carpet bombing. Henry Kissinger made a big mistake when he said peace was at hand. They didn't. Once Henry said peace was at hand, Ho Chi Minh felt like he could just press on and embarrass America, because if there was no peace, the American administration would collapse because of the negative approval. And basically, that's what happened. And then we let them do a coup against Nixon. As far as what I'm concerned, Nixon got railroaded. Nixon got set up and railroaded. That's my reading of the history. And I'm not a big fan of Richard Nixon, but Nixon was, whatever you want to say about old Tricky Dick, he was an American patriot, and he was set up, and it was to the detriment of future generations that he had to resign. Yeah, Zach, of course, we could have won Vietnam very easily. The problem was the hesitation. The problem was why? Why were we even prosecuting the Vietnam War? Because Vietnam did not want to be allied with China. They kind of look at Vietnam now. Vietnam is still supposedly communist, but you and I can fly there, and there's no problem. You can go retire there. They ain't gonna bother you. Try that with the PRC. It ain't happening. So really, we should have not engaged, as far as I'm concerned, in Vietnam. But yeah, once you get involved, there's no substitute for victory. You can't lose either. They got to know if we enter the fray, they got to know we're not leaving it. It's going to be us or them. So I agree with that sentiment. Like General MacArthur said, there is no substitute for victory. I should go meet my friend I have a friend who is a historian and starting a YouTube channel, and he wants to do some videos, history videos. I should go meet with him and see if he wants to do some history videos collaboration. That would be pretty awesome, especially when we're talking about this part of the world. This part of the world has some amazing history that it hasn't really been publicized at all. So many historical sites here, so many going all the way back to pre-Spanish era, and then you go up into places like Taiwan, South Korea, Vietnam, Cambodia, Burma. Richard says Kennedy was against sending ground troops. Yeah, Eisenhower told him not to do it, but then he went ahead and did it. Johnson was the one. Yeah, Johnson and McNamara. Johnson and McNamara. They escalated it, and then they hesitated, and they wanted to get out. We've got it from We've got McNamara's on tape. Johnson used to record everything, unless he was doing something he really shouldn't have done. Then he would turn it off. Nixon didn't know how to turn a tape recorder off, but Johnson and McNamara got us into all of the real trouble there, the real stupid stuff they did. McNamara was really a villain. Robert McNamara. I believe our government had something to do with. Well, I believe that too, Richard. But it's hard to quantify. They were really good. Whoever did that was really good at what they did. It's hard to figure out whose motivations. It could have been anybody from the mafia to the deep state, the CIA. It could have been anybody. Or it could have been a conspiracy of all of the above. We don't know. For sure, I don't believe the cover story either. Tom Seaver says, might as well talk about Iran. It started out well, but now the U.S. is hesitating. Okay, well, if you want to get into that, I'll get into that. Why not? So we've been at war with that part of the world. I say we, I mean Western civilization, going back to Xerxes invading, at Thermopylae, at the 300 Spartans, and yeah, we've been at war for over 2,300 years with these guys. So they're making, and we've got the same situation on a much larger scale with the PRC. The PRC is making thousands of nuclear warheads also, but they were on the road to having hundreds in a very short time. They were gonna, if we'd have left them another 6 months, they might have had a dozen physics packages, nuclear weapons mounted on missiles. And if they had done that with the kind of accuracy and speed they've demonstrated with their hypersonic program, they would have been able to deliver a good portion of those right through the Iron Dome, right through the theater high altitude missile defense, right through anything else we've got in the region, known classified or unclassified. They'd have been able to deliver that. So we would have been looking at them potentially, if we would have got into a conflict over them shuttering the Persian Gulf, we would have been looking at getting into a conflict where there's going to be nuclear detonations on large cities, and they have the ability. I think they fired one at Diego Garcia. It got all the way there. I think we knocked it down. So they have long range capabilities. They have accuracy. They have master decoys. They're a technically adept adversary. There's over 100 million people there, and they've demonstrated advanced manufacturing skills. So I want to say that I don't think there was an option to leave them, because they've demonstrated their willingness. I mean, they've demonstrated that they're willing to die for their cause. And if you let them have deliverable nuclear weapons, we'd be looking at a future where probably they'd be using them. And we had no choice, but to act now. And I think the conflict point now is whether we're going to recover that the material, the uranium. There's enough uranium there to make 12 bombs, but we've bombed the heck out of it. And it's not very accessible, so we're watching the site where the uranium is. And if they want to have peace, they need to agree to a verifiable nuclear weapons freeze. They need to let us inspect it, and they need to hand over the fissile material. And it's basically, we've got a much larger problem with the PRC, because they're a much larger, more capable country even than Iran, and they've been testing a lot of their military capabilities with Iran, the Iran war. You better know they've got advisors over there, and they're watching, and the very sensory technology that we're up against is coming from there. They're testing it against our technology, and so we're facing a situation where they're building hundreds of missile silos with advanced hypersonic intercontinental missiles. Even talking about putting things in using a fractional orbital bombardment technique, which gives us no early warning capability. So, the situation is dire in the future. We've got $30 trillion debt, and we've got an arms race with the country that wants to take our position as the world's unipolar power. And we make mistakes, but if the world allows America to lose its position as the unipolar power, and the PRC takes over our position, then people will know what real slavery is. That's just my opinion. Those people that don't want to pledge allegiance to the American flag will be pledging allegiance to a different flag, a red one. All right. Karen, is it lunchtime yet? You want to take over? So Richard says, believe me when I say this, our American military has the best assassins in the world. We absolutely do. The problem is the political decision makers don't let them use their fullness of their abilities. They don't they don't know how to play the chessboard. Otherwise, we would have never been in this situation. We already talked about how going back to all the way back to Marshall and World War II, who lost China? That used to be a major political issue in the 50s and 60s. Who lost China? And the Democrats did. Roosevelt did. Truman did. And the absolutely terrible men they appointed to the military, to the higher ends of the officer corps, lost China. Um, they thought they could make a deal with those guys, and they found out they couldn't. Maybe they didn't care. Maybe they just hated America that much. But when we create our forum with Reverend Fred, we'll have a history corner podcast, and we'll talk about history and geopolitics and things that bore the people that don't like the Philippine content. So we'll have more ability to keep the two topics separate. But there is overlap. It's all everything in this world is related. We're all this golden bubble in outer floating around through outer space called the Earth is everything is interconnected. And if you want to understand our future, you have to understand our past. And if you want to understand this region, you needed to understand World War II and how World War II ended and how America, like Joe McCarthy said in his book, retreated from victory. And that put us in a weakened position here. We should have backed Chang. Um, there should not have been a PRC. It should have all been ROC. That's going to be a very unpopular opinion in some corners. The thing is, though, you've got a lot of yes men in the officer corps because Congress appoints gets a say in nominating the officers, and the president appoints them. Especially the upper end. So you've got a lot of yes men there, and they should yield to political authority. But the problem is, the establishment it stinks to the hilt, because like I said earlier, they're taught in school, in college, that MacArthur was the bad guy. They're taught that we could not have won the Korean War, which is a crock. It's a lie. We could have won. We should have won. There is no substitute for victory. MacArthur was the hero. MacArthur was the one telling the truth. And Joe McCarthy, again, villainized. He was the one telling us the truth. So that's why it's been so important for certain segments to capture the educational system in the United States. They want to make sure the yes men are worshiping their version of history, are paying lip service to it. And if we're gonna save the future, we need to go back to the past and realize that we got to throw the revisionist history away. We got to look and think maybe General MacArthur was telling us the truth. Maybe there really is no substitute for victory. Then we got to go back into the political argument from the 50s and 60s. Who lost China and why? And then we got to ask about Yalta. Why at Yalta did they agree to give Eastern Europe to Stalin? Why was there an Iron Curtain allowed to be erected in Europe? We've got to resolve all that. We've got to throw all the garbage away that gets taught to our yes men. They're holding up a political orthodoxy that's dysfunctional and corrupted. So, as for YouTube, looks like our last video is doing great. The James and Karen video. We got solid green arrows on everything. So that's what we want to see. Wow, I got fireworks. YouTube is so happy about the channel, the latest video upload. We got fireworks. So I hope everybody checks it out. We only got 22 comments though. If you guys could all go over to James and Karen and comment on the video. If you have any questions or statements you'd like to make about, the screens on the eaves, screens on the windows, the bug population, the construction techniques, our future plans for building the kubos on the mountains, let us know. Now we were looking at some. I'm always looking at the cheap solar system, and those aren't meant for our house. I'm always looking at cheap solar like they use on the boats around here on the kubos. And the purpose of that basically is just to put like for the lights for the kubos, the remote mountain kubos, and for us to charge our batteries and our laptops. So that's the purpose of that. If I can find a nice compact system, you know, it's looks like it'll give a few years of service. I'm down to buy that. David Jacob says hello, James and Karen. Just having my coffee. Yeah, I got all hopped up on coffee this morning, David. Maybe I went a little far talking about history, a little far off the beaten path. But it's getting late in the U.S., so maybe our Australian friends have gone to lunch and our American friends have gone to sleep by now. Americans and Canadians. But we are in the initial stages of creating a forum and a website with Reverend Fred. I tried to do that before, but people had wanted way too much upfront cash to do it. Reverend Fred's the kind of guy that we can that we can work with. I'm excited about what possibilities that opens up for the future because it lets us branch out. It lets us branch out content wise. It lets us aggregate our ads all the same place with our product codes. Um, it allows us to create a universe of creators that are all working together. We do the people we do collaborations with, and we know here in Panay, it'll be really awesome to have our own area for us Panay vloggers to put our content and talk to one another and um, further our collaboration, hold our audience. So it's going to be, I think it's going to be a win-win situation. I know it's going to be. It should be self-sustaining from the ad revenue as well. Richard says, I enjoy your conversation, James. I tend to get carried away myself. Well, thank you, Richard. And I don't claim that everything I say, I'm only human. I make, factual errors. But as far as I've spent my life studying these things, I don't think I'm that far off. I think some pretty incredible mistakes happened at the conclusion of World War II and during the war, actually, also. I mean, there was aid sent to go to Chiang in China and money set aside, and they destroyed it rather than give it to him. I think that was General Marshall's decision. And basically, Chiang's forces fought the Japanese Empire, and Mao's forces kind of held back and let Chiang's forces fight the war of attrition and do the heavy lifting. And so by the time that the Empire of Japan surrendered, um, the Republic of China, Chiang's forces were very much depleted. And then when the Japanese surrendered, there was a possibility to incorporate the remnants of the Japanese army into Chiang's forces to collaborate against uh, the Mao's forces. And they didn't do it. Marshall didn't like that idea. Surprise, surprise, because Marshall was sympathetic with Mao. And I know, you know what they'll do? The smoke screen of corruption. They'll say, but Chiang was corrupt. And you know what? Good luck finding an ally that's not corrupt in this world. But I'll tell you what, he might have been corrupt, but he was 100% better than Mao. Karen, you want to take over and I'll take a coffee break? I need to get some more coffee. We've been going live for 84 minutes and we've got a construction project going on here, so we're going to stay here until they're done for the day, the workers. Then we can go elsewhere. Yeah, Karen. It's a pretty cool live stream. Why don't we just keep it going? Is it lunchtime? It's 12:09. Yeah, guys, Karen on this channel on Queen NENEPUT, she's got memberships available, and it's all the channel's all monetized now. So don't forget to check out Karen's videos here on Queen NENEPUT. She's got her super chat available. She's got her buy me a coffee available. She's got she's going to bring you guys a lot more. Sure, Richard. And I've got the Starlink Mini going out there. So let me switch to the Mini, and if it's still working, because it's always when you're going on the battery, you never know. Oh, she opened up the net, put it on the bike. Here we go. Switch in Starlinks. Where are you, NENEPUT Starlink? Mini is named NENEPUT. So when you go on the Wi-Fi on the Mini, it's NENE. There we are. We got our signal back. So I'm gonna go over here and I'll give you guys a look. It's lunch break now. But yeah, how do you like that fish net we bought? Filipinos are very obsessed with keeping the sun off their bikes. They don't like it for the plastic to fade and whatnot. Lots of concern about the bike. I bent my brake handle again.
Guys, ano, can you get my phone, be? I hope we have a signal. I'll just use. James, what you're using? Niniput, niniput na, no? Wi-Fi? Hello, guys. I hope everything is good now. Oh, we have 4 viewers. Hello, 4 viewers. Because James' Starlink was broken earlier. There's a crack. Hello, 4 viewers. Kuya Norm and Kuya Darren. Hey, Darren. Sorry you're not watching the chat. Hello, Tom Sievers. 8 viewers now.
Oh man, you can fry an egg.
Put here.
Pull the sunscreen off. Huh?
Maybe.
No thoughts that I had there to keep the battery cool?
I don't know.
Oh. So all right, let's see if the thermal work.
Hello, 7 viewers. Yeah, Kuya Christian just maybe get the sunscreen for our battery and he didn't notice that our X-Star is there and it's really hot. I told James to just put here in electric fan. Really hot. Hello, Christopher Biddle. How are you? Where are you from? Christopher. Very mainit here in the province. Oh my goodness. Kuya Darren said, I just like saying hi to all the Blue crew. Lots and viewers, I'm happy that our signal is back now. James is just monitoring his Starlink Mini if it's broken or not because there's a crack already. That's really expensive. We bought more than 30,000 pesos that Starlink Mini before. And it's been really useful because we brought that to anywhere we travel to do the live stream. He said he will just buy again. Oh my goodness. James, Hello, 12 viewers. I hope everyone is okay. James, you didn't eat lunch, James? There's a chicken adobo there, James. That's our lunch. I will go later to my cousin to do some paperwork. I was in Lianga, Surigao, Philippines a week ago. Wow, that's nice. You've been here in Philippines, Christopher. What country you are living? James, I'm gonna go to my cousin James.
Your cousin?
Yeah.
Where?
Paperwork.
Huh?
Paperwork. That is it.
I gotta put alligator clips on
That's
this.
okay. You can do it.
No, no, I want to do it on live. Let's show 'em.
You can film it.
So I've got a converter here. That Starlink Mini's going into a boot cycle for some reason, and I'm sick of it. So if there's something wrong with our wire, the battery, or what, I'll put a couple alligator clips on that, and we will put this on the Starlink Mini.
Oh, USA. You are from USA. That's great, Christopher. Nice meeting you because James is from USA also. Yeah, I think it's her first time to join my channel. I don't know what Jim's talking earlier, guys. I fell asleep. I don't know what topic he is talking. Maybe politics or history. Certain viewers. James really wants to show you guys what he is doing in live stream. This is what we ordered before in Shopee. Uh, DC converter. This one, guys, for Starlink. Hope all is well with you guys. Yes, Christopher. Only our Starlink Mini have only a little bit cracked. That's why James is sad this morning.
You want to switch it to the Mini now? No.
No, I don't Starlink Mini.
Huh?
I don't trust Starlink Mini there. For sure there is no signal because I'm far from it.
That's not why. It went into a. I went and got the statistics. It went into a boot cycle. I think because the battery got left in the heat.
Yes, but now he was going to show us the progress of the outside of the house. What you're going to use, James? Car battery?
Yeah. We need to collect data on this equipment. If we've had a problem, we need to document it.
Hello, 15 viewers. Thank you for joining Queen NENEPUT's live stream. Oops. Yeah, so he will install that guys using a car battery. I don't know if it will be okay. Wow, it's pretty hot today. Uy. That's really hot because you put on the rocks.
Maybe put on the chair. The dogs may hear.
Yeah, because you need to be careful. That's really expensive stuff. He's worried now, guys. He's worried that he might broke it.
I'll bet it likes that. That takes the 12 and turns it into 30. So we'll see.
You can use my phone to test it.
Where's
On the freezer. We didn't get yet the Android of James because the guy that no we hired to fix it. He said that the CPU broke and mostly of the parts already burned because of the salt water. It's really sad. Maybe we need to buy parts of or just buy new ones. Yes, Tom Siebers, it's a break time or lunch time of our workers. There's a signal, James.
Yep.
Is it good?
I don't know. Let's see. Let's live stream all.
You can use this phone. My head hurt me. I wanna puke again. The first trimester is not easy, guys. It's really difficult. Your feeling changes. Everything change. Really, my head always hurt. My stomach hurt. Oh my goodness. Is it fully charged, James?
Switch it to the mini.
Okay, I'll switch guys to the mini if it's good. I'm so sorry if I might interrupt the live stream, but let's test our Starlink Mini. Yeah, I changed it.
It's working really good.
Loading. Wait, I'll on off. I changed it. Okay, James, it's working. It's working good now. Wow, 21 viewers. Thank you, guys. You wanna eat your lunch?
Let's see. This is important here. Really important testing.
Yeah, it's working.
Okay, so something happened to the X-Star battery. Maybe the heat because they uncovered it.
Yeah, it.
People should be careful when they do things like that.
Hello, Kuya Fortune. Clear now. Yeah, this is Starlink Mini, guys. And James checking in.
Needed the power boosted by the converter.
Clear now, Kuya Norm said.
Yeah.
Good afternoon to you, Kuya Fortune. Let's eat. Yes, James is not eating yet, guys. I'm done already. Oh, he live stream 105 minutes.
Yeah, let's keep it going. Let's do all day live stream.
You wanna go some? I will go to my cousin later. You wanna stay here?
You want me to go with you to the cousin?
No, no, I can go with Nana there.
Okay.
You
That's
don't want
working
long
good.
form. You don't want to make long form videos.
Yeah, absolutely, definitely. Well, we got all day to do that. And we have to go up to the mountain and do some planting and stuff. So we got a lot to do today.
It's already how ano.
It's early. It's very early. We got to get this battery situation solved. Let's get the battery situation solved. All right. So everything's running on the Mini now because I unplugged the Starlink Residential. I've got the computer, Karen's phone, and my phone are all on the Mini. Good. Fortune says, let's eat. Having my lunch in my desk. We should be able to walk around the other side of the house now without losing signal. Karen, I need your phone now. I'm going to go test the signal. So let's go have a look at what they did while they're eating. If we finally have signal. So what I did was I put the 12 to 30 volt converter on the Starlink Mini. I had the new sunscreen. I set it on top of the battery, uh, X-Tar battery, and I think what happened was it got too hot and overheated and cut the Mini off. When you use that X-Tar battery, you shouldn't leave it sit in the sun. That's what I did. Hopefully this time our signal was good, everybody. Let's see how far our signal goes. We still have signal, Karen? Okay, check it. Go check. Let me know. I'm going to plug this one in.
Ala, you put your phone in the rice cooker?
Oh boy. Is that what that is?
I'm gonna cut it for a few minutes. It's holiday tomorrow. I don't know that it's holiday tomorrow, Kuya Fortune. What is the holiday tomorrow? I didn't check the calendar. Maybe in iPhone there's no holiday state. Seems no.
Well, you got the wrong calendar app. You probably need to change something. Fortune, what's the holiday tomorrow? All right, we're working good. All right, let's run a mini test here. My concern is always the upload speed. The Mini has more than enough upload speed. Download speed. $18 megabits per second. $18 is actually very high for the Mini. I don't normally get that kind of speed on the Mini. That's download speed. The download speed's always been over 100. The upload speed's always been the problem. So that's really good. 112 download speed. That's never been a problem. And we've got more than adequate upload speed. It's better than it's ever been because of the because Starlink put more satellites. When we first got the Starlink residential, there were only 6,000 satellites in orbit. Now there's 10,000 or over 10,000 Starlink satellites in orbit. The problem we had earlier was I had that new sunshade covering the X-Star battery, and they took it and put it on the motorcycles. Somebody did. I don't know whether it was Ton or the workers, probably Ton. And when they did that, they the X-Tar overheated, and I think that's why the Mini went into a boot cycle when I tried to show you guys the exterior. And that kind of information is something that I need to compile, test, so that we know what we can do with the Mini and what we can't. So I know now that that battery is going to be getting hot, it's going to quit. So it's never done that before. That's a new revelation. But the battery says it's at 76% charge, so it shouldn't be dropping out like that. Unless there's something wrong with the wire, but my bet is it's just got hot. So, all right, everybody. Karen doesn't feel good enough to take to let me have a lunch break. So what we'll do is we'll sign off now, and I will resume later on one of the other channels. God bless everybody. Thanks, Fortune. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. See you later.